for some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. I have the 8 p.m. MI shooting, Michigan church shooting press conference up. It does look like we are going to get some more information from various agencies, but it's going to be about 15 minutes. So good morning. Thank you, JKD Buck and Wolfram, for your Modly Mod duties. Awesome. I love that people are using me to go out and walk. I do have the sound boosted and closed captions on. It does look like this Special Lieutenant Kim Better is like the enforcer of these conferences, kind of laying down the ground rules. So let's get into this.
Michigan State Police, and I am just setting a couple of ground rules for this news conference. We will have a couple of different speakers, and at the end we will have time for a few questions. If you have questions about the spellings of names, I will step back up after the news conference and answer those questions. I'd like to introduce Chief William Renee from the Grand Blanc Township Police Department.
Look, she's what happens when you order Kim Possible from Timu. You get Kim Better, not Kim Possible, if anyone remembers that cartoon.
Thank you for joining us. As Lieutenant Vetter said, we will take a couple questions upon the conclusion of this press conference. With me here on the stage is Supervisor Scott Bennett, Fire Department Chief of Grand Blanc Township, Jamie Gent, DNR Chief, Jason Haynes, FBI.
And according to what is now coming out, DNR officers were the ones that engaged this suspect and ended his life. So that does seem to be why the DNR is there. It does seem that when the all points bulletin or everyone round up, I don't know the official policeologist term, it does seem that the DNR officers were the one to engage the suspect.
Acting Special Agent in Charge Ruben Coleman, and the ATF James Deere, who is the Special Agent in charge for this area in Michigan. I have a couple updates for you. There is a couple additional bodies that we've discovered in the church. So that makes our total victim count up to 4 victims. As I said before,
I am actually shocked, and as heartbreaking as it is that we have found more victims, with the way the blaze was and blocking exit and, the fear of getting shot at, I was shocked that it didn't go into the teens and 20s. I was actually not looking forward to this press conference, especially because I thought that they were just going to find so many people that had been trapped in that burning church. Just absolutely. King Bob, good morning to all you wonderful people. Hope you're all doing great. Having a bit of a painful morning, but thanks to pain meds, I'll be better soon. Mo, hope you're free of pain this morning. Yes, but I will contend on a tangent level. I just spent money on a wearable heated blanket. This morning, I was so bone deep cold, I could barely move. And, Mr. Mo doesn't have time in his day, although he would like to snuggle me all day to maintain my body heat. So it's called a Snuggama. And I'm actually going to pull this up because look, I did buy two. I'm not going to lie. But this is what I bought. Let me go back to this. So it's got footholes and everything and a 12-hour heating. So they convinced me to buy two because Mr. Mo and I were both like, let's get one, see how it works. But then they were like, oh, if you buy another one right now after I'd finished ordering, it was only $20. So that's how they get me. Well, I mean, not just. He did say that there was a way to internally heat me. And I was like, that is the weirdest line I have ever heard in my entire life. So I will give this a test out. I hope that it works. Like I said, having never been a type of person that has been relentlessly cold, it is kind of a different thing, but now to have something I can wear on stream so that my legs aren't freezing will be great. I may just wear this 24/7.
There has already been the suspect who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident that could have been completely avoided. And it's very tragic, and that's not what our community is. I'm confident that we're going to overcome this, as Grand Blanc always overcomes these type of incidents. And also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only the first responders, but the people who were inside that church at the time. They were shielding the children who were also present within the church.
And that's what people don't realize. Yes, we found, 4 victims, but everyone in that church was a victim. I mean, imagine crouching over the bodies of children, thinking that being willing to lay down your life in that moment for children that may be yours or may just be children. It absolutely is unthinkable that this had to happen in a house of worship, and that this isn't the first time. This is absolutely, becoming a trend to the point that a lot of churches now have security measures in place. And not just like huge mega churches. I'm talking about my rural podunk, churches too. It's infuriating that this now has to be this happened, Tammy. I did cover this yesterday. This happened starting around 10:30 a.m. in Grand Blanc, Michigan, which is an outskirts or suburb of Flint, Michigan, at an LDS church. What we think happened, I'm guessing they'll get into that, but we believe that the suspect rammed his truck into the front entrance of the church, started shooting, whilst simultaneously starting a fire, along with the fact that it seems that he placed several IEDs around the church. It was absolutely ridiculous. King Bob, that is absolutely what I intend to do. And if all else fails and it isn't really a workable thing for me, I have a $20 Christmas gift to give to a giveaway or, a gift exchange. I don't know about you guys, but the older I've gotten, it's finding that one gift that you think that one child who, isn't always good about giving you a list, finding that one really cool thing that you think that they'll like, and then seeing their eyes light up when they open it. That's always been the funnest part about Christmas to me. But let's get back to this.
Moving them to safety. Just hundreds of people just practicing their faith. Just extreme courage, brave, and that's the type of community that we are. Law enforcement, again, we were on scene within 30 seconds from that original 911 call. Within 8 minutes, that suspect was neutralized in the back parking lot of the church by a DNR officer and a Grand Blanc Township officer. So where we're at right now, we're working tirelessly. We're working all night on this particular incident. I know that you guys have questions, and it's not only this community, but it's nationwide, you know, all throughout the United States. So we're working hand in hand with our federal partners. So I'd like to introduce FBI Agent Ruben Coleman to you, who he will give you an update on where he's at within the federal investigation. Sir.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Ruben Coleman, and I am the Acting Special Agent in charge of FBI Detroit Field Office, which covers the entire state of Michigan. First, I want to sincerely express our condolences to the victims of this shooting, their families, and this entire community. I would like to also thank Chief Rennie, the Grand Blanc Township Police Department, and all of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, other first responders, and the community members for their immediate actions in this situation. This act of violence has no place in our state or anywhere else in our country. The FBI is committed to continue finding out the facts, circumstances, and motives behind this tragedy. I can confirm at this time that the FBI is now leading the investigation and is investigating this as an act of targeted violence. FBI crisis response teams, such as our evidence response teams, SWAT, Special Agent Bomb Technicians, victim specialists, were deployed to the scene. We also have special agents who are...
Okay, this is royally pissing me off, and this is more of a thing. Now, I was always taught in public speaking that you have most of your stuff memorized because, again, we are looking for reassurance. We are looking for, you know, the feeling that the big giant government understands is here to reassure us. Him reading off of a card denies us that human and emotional connection. Again, you are a special agent in charge. You should basically know the script you're supposed to give out by now. Yes, some of these circumstances, some of the fact patterns will change, but you do not encourage safety or encourage a feeling of security or that the adults are in charge when you can't take your eyes off the paper long enough to make direct eye contact with the people you're supposed to be reassuring. Now, again, he has probably been hella busy on the investigation, but I tell you right now, this isn't reassuring. The police chief who maintained eye contact, and you could see how emotionally draining this entire day has been to him, you know, despite doing the job, that's reassuring. This is government speak, at least to me.
continuing to conduct interviews and intelligence and professional staff personnel providing research and analysis. I would like to thank them for their work on.
So we do know that 4 people, not including the suspect who was neutralized, passed away. There were 8 people that were flown to the hospital. So I don't know how that breakdown goes. I don't know how many people had non-life-threatening, injuries, maybe scrapes, burns, bruises, possibly even broken limbs, trying to get out of this chaos. I am not sure how they're breaking those down. We seem to be getting Fed speak right now. So hopefully the next person will come up and say something.
In this case, we ask that members of the public share any information that would assist us in this investigation, and we encourage them to please report to the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or tips.fbi.gov. Any piece of information could be crucial. We ask that you keep the victims of this tragedy, their families, and the entire community in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Michigan State Police continues to respond to several locations throughout the community as we receive additional bomb threats at other locations. Please continue to stay vigilant, and if you see something suspicious, say something. Call the FBI tip line or
Well, this is terrifying. It seems like again, this is a sense of hypervigilance. So it does seem like, people are probably seeing weird trash, or things like that. But good on them for calling. If you don't know what something is, don't pick it up, don't mess with it, especially when we have someone known for IEDs possibly spreading them around town like like a homicidal Easter bunny.
call 911 to report suspicious activity. This incident is an active investigation. Investigators are tirelessly combing through evidence under difficult circumstances and working to identify each victim as quickly and accurately as possible. The Family Assistance Center will be open from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday and Tuesday at the Genesis Conference and Banquet Center at 805 Health Park Boulevard in Grand Blanc. If you are still looking for missing family members related to this incident, you may call 248-705-7352 for assistance. The FAC is available to everyone in the community, victims, family members of victims, and community members seeking support who just want to talk.
This is probably the most wonderful community support measure that I've seen. This town is doing it right. They realize that not only the people involved in the church, but first responders and everyday citizens are going to be, rattled by this, are going to be shocked. Not just the churchgoers, but the people who have houses near the church were told to evacuate. I mean, they were actual explosive devices found all over the church. So this town has done it right as far as providing not only victim survivor support, but also understanding that this is the whole town that has had their sense of safety ripped up, that they're going to be inundated by federal agents and all sorts of agencies and media for a while, and that this is going to be a complete change for a bit about how people feel about their town, how they feel about their safety. So I would like to say that Grand Blanc has done a really good job, and they need to be commended and praised for thinking not only of practical things like finding your family members, but also the rest of the community needing health support, someone to talk to about this. Again, it doesn't just take away the safety of those people in that church. Everyone there now says, what if I'm in Walmart? What if I'm in my own place of worship? So this is a good idea.
Trained counselors and victim services will be on site. We do not need volunteer counselors at this time, and we are not accepting donations of goods at this time. Please continue to monitor the Grand Blanc Township Facebook page for the latest updates. Once verified donation centers are made public, we will put those on the Facebook page. Also, the next update will be provided, update time will be provided on that Facebook page. And we'll open up to questions this time.
Chief, has the church been cleared of bodies of victims? And if you could answer it for you, please.
So as I said, we're working around the clock now. So we're working tirelessly to find additional bodies. So Dan.
And this is what I fear. I fear that this is going to end up in a body count closer to the double digits. It's not what I want, but depending and looking at how fast and how just intense that fire was, finding anyone that was trapped in there is going to take a lot of debris and rubble removal. So sadly and heartbreakingly, it does seem like there is going to be a higher victim count. I would look for that in the next week. It's going to take a lot of time to remove debris to find out if these are human remains and identify them.
Answer your question, the entire church has not been cleared because it's a total loss due to the fire. So these first responders right now, they're in recovery mode. They're trying to fight through all the debris from the fire. So no, we have not cleared the entire church just yet.
And I have a quick follow-up. Of the victims, the 4 dead, can you say how many were shot or how many died as a result of the fire?
I could say this, 2 have been shot as a result, or have been shot, 2 of the deceased.
Do you know how many people are unaccounted for?
No, I don't know how many people are unaccounted for at this time. We do know that there are some that are unaccounted for.
Can you explain a little bit about how the fire started at the church?
I will leave that up to the ATF, Agent Deere.
The question again?
How did the fire start at the church?
For this incident, the fire started, basically the suspect, all indications on this investigation are the suspect used an accelerant of some sort, we believe gasoline, and lit the church on fire.
Was it an IED that he may have used?
There are, at this point, I'm not going to comment on IEDs. I will confirm that there were some suspected explosive devices that were located. But as far as using them to initiate the blaze, I can't say that. This scene is actively being investigated by ATF. Most people don't know that ATF is the federal arson police, and we have a team from...
Okay, just because he's the ATF, we are putting on a puppy kitten break because nothing terrifies an ATF agent like a puppy or a kitten. Because, I mean, yeah, look, the ATF has never looked good since Waco.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
And yes, they were at Ruby Ridge too, so the ATF is not batting 1,000 to early 90s kiddos.
Across the country coming in our national response team. It is a cadre of expert fire investigators that are coming here from across the country to investigate this scene and get to the cause or the origin and cause of this fire.
Lieutenant Weber, we saw that there was possibly a bomb threat at the Meyer on Atherton and Center yesterday. Is that connected to this, and is the home that we saw being searched over there the home of the suspect?
Yeah, that's all still part of the investigation. Sorry, that is still all part of the investigation. We're still working to determine if any of that is related.
Can we speak to the motive? We're hearing speculations that it might have anything to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination in Utah.
That's exactly what it is, a speculation, and we won't come to those types of conclusions for some time.
Do you know if there's any connection between the suspect and the church or its members, any prior connection?
Again, part of the investigation, we're not going to speculate at this time. Right now, we are working tirelessly to recover the victims of this incident and reunite families. Please be patient as we work through that process.
Were the law enforcement officers there close to the scene and how they were able to respond so quickly within just seconds?
Thankfully, yes.
You mentioned there were additional
Oh, I'm sorry,
events.
Tammy.
Is there anywhere that the community should be aware of or safe from?
The community should remain vigilant, and anytime they see something suspicious, they should report it immediately.
There's at least one other report that a local church was searched by the bomb squad.
We've searched multiple churches this evening for bomb threat protocol, yes.
Is that based on actual threats?
Yes.
Okay.
We received 911 calls about bomb threats or other indications that there was a bomb at a different location. Some of them were churches, and we've responded and cleared those locations.
Did those threats come after the suspect was killed at the church?
Yes.
Was there an officer at the church already?
I think that's part of the investigation. Do you have a comment on it?
Were those LDS churches where the bomb threats were, or were there other denominations?
I can't,
That speak to a motive.
yeah, I can't answer that at this time, but
What else can we say about the suspect? You know, you're not going to talk about motive, yes, but what else can we say, anything about him at all?
right now, what we'd like to do is talk about the heroism that we saw today, the people who responded in such a valiant way to protect the others, both law enforcement, fire department, EMS. Everybody did an excellent job working together to keep people as safe as they possibly could.
We stopped by Holy Family Catholic Church, there was a heavy police presence there. Is this at all connected to one of those bomb threats that you're mentioning? Is it potentially connected to the incident today at the LDS church?
I don't have knowledge of that exact location. Do you have anything? Okay. That's going to be all for questions. I thank you for coming and appreciate the assistance.
Okay.
Can we get your name again, please, ma'am?
Sure. Yep. I'm Special
So that is all that we got from that, but I do have articles pulled up about what we know in addition to what they put out on in the press conference. So we'll get right into that, and I'll turn comments on so you guys can see them on the screen. I just didn't want anything to come over that. Now the church death toll rises. Now the attacker has been identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, an Iraq war vet that is said to have suffered from PTSD and wore a "Make Liberals Cry Again" shirt. Now, there is going to be a bunch of people that are going through this man's social media and trying to ferret out a reason. But between this and the Marina shooting that I am going to be covering their press release today, the North Carolina Marina shooting where I believe 8 people were shot, these are 2 veterans of the Iraq War, and I do think that this is going to make the talk about VA, about mental health for our veterans, very, very real. I do believe that this is going to cause that to become another big hot topic issue. A man accused of ramming his car into a Mormon church before setting it on fire and shooting at the congregants has been identified as an Iraq veteran who is struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, Thomas Jacob Sanford, who commonly went by Jake, was shot dead in the parking lot of the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan on Sunday. Now, the 40-year-old father of one took the life of at least 4 people and injured 8 others, but again, expect those numbers to completely rise over this week. It's heartbreaking, but once they're able to dig into that wreckage and it's not waterlogged, I do foresee heartbreakingly that there are going to be more there are going to be more victims. Now, one family friend told journalist Ty Steele that Sanford had been battling with PTSD. It's hard to feel sad for someone who did something so terrible, and I still feel sad. I'd heard through family events that he had PTSD. He would make comments occasionally about, and it was something that was kind of talked about, but wasn't talked about in depth, so I don't know the depths of his issue. Now, pictures taken from social media accounts of Sanford's wife and loved ones revealed that they were conservative and Christian and dealing with the stress of their son's congenital hyperinsulin diagnosis. So that's when your pancreas actually creates too much insulin. I'm not a doctorologist, but that's not good. Now, I don't think we're going to glean a whole lot from his social media, but that's what I don't get. Now, they are trying to link this to the current administration. Apparently, he wore a pro-Trump shirt, which sells on eBay for $15.99. So, that being said, I do think that we're going to find something more. I just don't know about all of the political leanings of this man. And right now, I don't really care, but I do think as this investigation continues, we are going to find some effery with the VA, with them dropping the ball, on really serious people. This is a pattern now that we can see. You had the main shooter who was a veteran with spiraling PTSD and mental health problems that were told to, everyone who would listen to try to get this man help, and it didn't. Then to, the Marina shooting in North Carolina, and now this tragedy in Michigan. We need to understand what is going on with people that we ask to defend our country. I'm not excusing this. I think this was a craptastic way. I have always preached that your internal BS, whatever you're dealing with, does not give you the right to treat other people like crap or go, unalive them. But I think we can hold 2 ideas at once. I'm hoping that this is a upcoming problem, a problem that has made itself known. And if we expect men to talk about some of the most horrific time in their life, the VA cannot do this constant shuffling of psychiatrists. No, it takes a long time to build up trust with a psychiatrist, and then having to go, further and further into something deeply personal only to be transferred to someone else and have to start the process all over again makes a lot of these veterans not want to talk to people. You have, psychiatrists that have never been in a field of combat that don't know anything. So that is where I think we really have a problem that is fixable. We could really focus on our first responders, on our veterans' mental health. Again, not an excuse, but if we want to stop these from happening again, let's have the back of the people that had our backs overseas, so we didn't have to do this. That's just my thought. Protect this woman. Grim Reaper, you can't have our Dolly. You already took our Betty White, and I refuse. You stay the hell away from William Shatner, too. Look, I'm just saying the world needs all the Dolly we can get right now. Now, Dolly Parton to undergo multiple procedures amid health challenges. Dolly Parton is pressing pause on working 9 to 5. The Jolene singer announced September 28th that she needs to postpone her upcoming Las Vegas concerts due to medical concerns. As many of you know, I've been dealing with some health challenges, and my doctors are telling me I have to have a few procedures, she shared on Instagram. As I joked with them, this will be like my, 10,000-mile checkup, although it's not the usual trip to see my plastic surgeon. Now, as she prepares to undergo these unspecified operations, the 79-year-old said that she is pushing back the dates of her performances from December 2025 to September 2026. In all seriousness, given this, I'm not going to be able to rehearse or put together the show I want you to see, the show that you deserve to see. You pay good money to see me perform, and I want to be my best for you. While I'll still be able to work on all of my projects from here in Nashville, I just need a little more time to get the show ready, as they say. So there you go. Keep Dolly in your thoughts and prayers. The world needs, although that bra just looks hella painful. That's a lot of lift and separate. Actually, Dolly, where'd you get that bra? Just asking for a mo. It's probably like an $800 bra. Now, for those of you on the East Coast and especially near the Carolinas and the DC area, while Humberto, the Category 5 hurricane, does look like it's going to stay very far at sea and not affect any land masses, so Hurricane Humberto has become a Category 5 storm, with winds reaching up to 160 miles per hour. Now, it is going to go closer to the East Coast, but in every predictive path, it does end up just going into the middle of the Atlantic. That being said, it does have an impact on, Hurricane Imelda, I believe, is the one that's coming back. So it's going to be giving a lot of kind of drag to Hurricane Imelda, which might cause it to stall out and become a slow-moving hurricane like Helene did, or Helena. Good Lord, Hurricane Helene. My brain is not with the names. That being said, it's going to be setting up a possible redux nearly, just after the 1-year anniversary of Helene, for very slow moving and dumping a lot of precipitation into the Carolinas and then on to the Ohio Valley. I'm speaking like I have one of those blue screens. That being said, I'm not a meteorologist. If you would like this more detailed, Ryan Hall, y'all, is an actual trained meteorologist and can give you guys the more, cromulent details, to steal a Baker word. Well, I mean, who'd have thunk that fears as a Victorian disease thought eradicated were discovered at a southern state high school? A case of deadly lung disease, tuberculosis, has been detected in another public school after multiple cases have emerged throughout the country this year. Now, an active case of TB was reported in someone at Jasper High School in Alabama just weeks into the new school year. Now, about 1,100 students attend the school from grades 9 to 12. The Jasper Board of Education said the school was notified on Thursday and students considered close contacts were identified. Now, again, something to realize is that we usually, these are not usually American citizens who are testing positive for TB, as we, I believe, have TB inoculations as part of our routine, like childhood booster shots and shots routines. That being said, this is a global disease that is quite commonly found in other countries. So I don't have any confirmation of that, but I do know that for the most part, American citizens have, been given immunity to this. That might. I mean, it would probably help with neck strain. All right, you guys, we have got a lot of Final Form Jesus What in the Walmart Rapture stories because I figured we'd all need some laughs. So let's get into these because the news is crazy and sometimes heartbreaking, but I'll stay on the crazy side.
Keep scrolls, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, Final Form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Alrighty. Now, okay, call me maybe not cultured, but honestly, isn't this just normal for San Francisco on a Tuesday? Like, this is what my mind conjures up whenever you say San Francisco. Well, the country's freakiest fetish fair has returned this weekend, and pictures from the event will make your jaw drop. The Folsom Street Fair, which is the last event in San Francisco's Leather Pride season. Again, if you have a Leather Pride season, I just imagine everyone goes to Walmart looking like this. If she finds this attractive, but I have never been more confused about male anatomy in my life. Also, God tell me that horsetail is not insertable. There are so many questions. Now, the event is usually attended by thousands of leather fetishist, bondage enthusiasts, and half-naked, or two fully naked participants, as well as fully clothed spectators. It ran from 11 a.m., because this is what you want to see at 11 a.m. Sir, I have eyeballs. I don't think you need to tell me that you're fluffy. I think your suspenders barely holding up your shorts tell me you're fluffy. Again, I just see this being semi-normal for San Francisco. I don't care. I'm not going to stop anyone from doing it, but I am confused because this just seems somewhat normal. Now I have to stop here because there is actually bear people towards the end of this. Now, this year's festival hosted a 7-hour bondage show with more than 50 sets and 100 performers. Visitors were able to try out getting tied up in ropes and wearing decorative harnesses. The event hosted a drag show in San Francisco's The Stud Bar, which is the city's oldest LGBTQ bar, having operated since 1966. Now, the show does consist of a leather competition in which participants were judged on their leather look, performances, and final questions before a winner was crowned and sashed, a kind of beauty pageant parody. It also consisted of 5 wickedly filthy shows filled with perverted delights. I mean, again, I don't care what you do. Could you just not do it on my front porch in public? I am a firm fan of don't ask, don't tell, but if I ask you, let me get all of this. So there you go. In a story that will make you want to lose your mind, because who actually thinks, again, modern witchcraft, modern Wicca, not even like the full-blown Wiccans that you see that actually do follow some sort of orthodoxy. Modern day witchcraft is basically like, I'm just manifesting into the universe. Apparently, a witch who claims to have cursed Charlie Kirk is speaking out with regret. The shadowy world of witchcraft chillingly collided with American politics this month after a spellcaster publicly admitted regret for her part in a curse that is said to have targeted Charlie Kirk. Speaking after his shocking assassination, the self-proclaimed witch, known as Priestess Lillian, said she never intended to cause harm and wants to reach out to Charlie Kirk's widow. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, don't have time for this. Priestess Lillian, who described herself as one of the witches contracted by Jezebel before Charlie Kirk's tragic death, said that she did not want the situation to spiral into tragedy. She acknowledged the emotional toll the episode has had on Erica Kirk, offering to correspond privately to give her answers. We regret any distress experienced. If you were truly Wiccan, then you would realize the basic principle of 3 on 3, that what you put out in the universe comes back at you 3 times. Now, most Christian denominations will call this the golden rule and turn the other cheek. We be kind to each other and we turn the other cheek. This is a common component in all sorts of religions where what you put out is what you receive. And this seems like a cheaply disguised ploy to get herself attention. Again, if I were even tangentially sure that my thoughts or activities had pushed an assassination, I don't know that I'd be publicly announcing it because I'd be dying of guilt. So this looks like an attention whore kind of thing. And screw you, Jezebel, for, contacting these pseudo-religious spiritual millennials to get them to, I don't know, dance skyclad and, throw some witch hazel around to try to take someone out who doesn't agree with you. Instead of trying to maybe understand his position or ask him, Charlie would have gone to Jezebel and answered all your questions. You wouldn't have liked the answers, but he would have engaged with you cordially. Instead, you decided to get a bunch of mentally disturbed females to curse him. That's on you. Just what is wrong with people? Well, another consequence that we didn't think about. Apparently, shutting down schools could have led to a surge in STDs among teens. Now, lockdowns set adolescents back not only in their schoolwork, but led to the worst exam results in both math and reading on record. Now, researchers warn that they might have also taken a toll on sexual education. No, it didn't. You locked people up, didn't give them a chance to socialize. Even though I'm an inside cat, I still realize I come from a social species. This is ridiculous. It isn't the sex education, it's the fact that they wanted to feel connected to someone, to anyone, and they weren't in school so they could just hang around. Hell, they didn't even have to be on Zoom consistently. Scientists at Brown University found that 7th graders, who are typically 12 to 13-year-old, had received sex education in 2023 and 24 after pandemic, closures were lifted, were more likely to have negative feelings or beliefs about the topic compared to those taught in 2018 and 2019. Now, Parker Haddock, a medical student who led the researchers, said that middle schoolers are learning facts about sexual health, but that's only one half of the battle. If we want students to make healthy choices, we need to teach them sexual health in ways that foster just, or maybe you could let parents talk to their kids and the school doesn't need to be involved with teaching my children about their no-no squares. I mean, that could possibly be a truth too. Now, teens are at a disproportionately higher risk for STI or STDs and unwanted pregnancies, as well as unhealthy relationships with older peers, because they're more likely to engage in risk-taking behavior. Now, there has been a survey that has shown condom use on the decline. So parents, it's not comfortable. Have the talk with your kids. But don't just have the talk. It's not just a physical thing. There are emotions attached to that, especially for women. So I've always been very honest with my girls that for guys, it can be just simply an activity. But girls tend to put a lot more labels on it. It's because they sat in a room for a year and a half watching corn and became very disappointed when reality wasn't the same. Yes. So there you go. Now, who does this? I mean, and who then posts about it when she knows that a person passed away in their house? So a home renovation led to a startling discovery for a Des Moines, Iowa-based realtor, Nikki Snyder. She was ripping up the carpets of her home when she discovered a spot where a dead body of the past owner had literally melted into the floor. Now, while speaking exclusively to the Daily Mail about it, Nikki explained that she had purchased a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home for $99,000 in 2021. She had started renting it out, but after a tenant's pet destroyed the carpet earlier this year, she decided to redo the floors. We looked at historic photos to see if there was hardwood under the carpet, but that's when Nikki noticed something suspicious. The photos showed a rug in the middle of the floor that was placed in a very awkward position. She had a feeling the rug might be covering something up, so she investigated. She ripped up the carpets and found something more horrifying than she would have imagined. I mean, it looks like they put a piece of particle board. Now, underneath was the outline of a human hand stained black on the floor. She learned from an agent that there had been an unattended death in the house in the summer with no air conditioning, resulting in the body literally melting into the floor. Now, the past owners had cut away most of the area, but what was left was the spot where the dead person's hand and feet had rested. When we pulled the carpet back, we saw that the previous owners had cut out most of the body, but there was a significant hand and arm print as well as a possible footprint. It didn't bother me knowing he had passed away. I went to mortuary school when I was in my 20s and I've dealt with death a lot in my life. I wasn't afraid. I was just sad for the guy. My understanding was that he was a bit of a recluse and didn't have much contact with the family, so he was there for a couple of weeks. I mean, yeah, no, maybe. Also, why did they just replace the hardwood with particle board? I feel like that's a question that most of us would ask. Now, she is going to be laying down new flooring as she has since rented out the house and said her current tenants are aware of the story. She said that she felt a heavy presence in the home. When we first bought it, I would feel nauseated and dizzy and sometimes feel a heavy presence of someone standing over me. Even so, she says she's unfazed by the fact that a dead body had been rotting in there. No, she asked when she was asked if she felt uneasy about that. I saw it on the floor quite a bit when we were rehabbing the property. People die every day. I believe he's in a better place than that house. Well, I wouldn't put that on your rental agreement, like last person got upgraded, to heaven. Now, as I don't watch the Super Bowl, this affects me in no way, but apparently Bad Bunny is said to headline the Super Bowl in 2026. Apparently saying this is for my people. Furries? Bad Bunny is headed to the Super Bowl a week after he concluded his 31-date Puerto Rico residency. The reggaeton superstar revealed that he was going to be the headliner for the latest Super Bowl in 2026. I don't know this guy. I don't listen to his music. Good luck. Maybe don't make it divisive. Maybe just put on a good show, have good music, and make it entertaining. That would be my only thing, but you know, there we go. To not be fear prawn, but definitely to make you aware, Hillshire brand. Now, this is a big family meal in my house. Corn dogs are something everyone likes. So this is more for anyone who has kiddos who love corn dogs and get the state fair variety. Probably pitch those. Approximately 58 million pounds of corn dog and sausage on a stick product have been pulled after customers were injured by wood splinters in the batter. Now, wood chips were found embedded in the breading surrounding the sausages. More than 25 Hillshire brand products were affected by the recall, all of them from batter-covered hot dogs and sausages. Now, Hillshire tasty snacks are usually individually wrapped, microwavable meals on the go, but the recent recall has consumers checking twice before eating them. Now, the products were mostly carried at major grocery stores and sold by household brands Jimmy Dean and State Fair. The recalled items include State Fair 100% beef turkey, Fiesta corn dogs, and Jimmy Dean original and blueberry pancakes, along with cinnamon French toast sausage on a stick. How many stick-related food do we have? Also, that French toast and sausage. When it's not covered in wood pulp, I will be trying that. Now, the recalled items had been sold nationwide, and buyers included retailers, most grocery stores, school districts, and even the U.S. Department of Defense. According to the notice, all the affected products had been packaged between March 17th, 2025 and September 26, 2025. The problem was discovered after multiple customers complained, 5 of whom suffered injury because of the wood pieces found in their food. Now, the extent of the injuries is not known, but no other injuries have been reported. Customers who think they might have been injured by a corn dog or sausage on a stick are cautioned that they should contact their healthcare provider. I can only imagine my doctor. Hello, I ate a corn dog and I'm definitely afraid. Now, swallowing a foreign object, such as a piece of wood, can cause the chest or throat to become swollen and painful, even leading to vomiting, abdominal pain, or even infection. Hillshire was forced to recall more than 15,000 pounds of their smoked sausage product just 2 years ago, citing concerns of bone fragments in meat. So just keep an eye out. I'm not saying run and, throw away all your Jimmy Deans, but keep an eye out and, keep your family safe. I don't bring these to you guys to make you flip out and be terrorized, but just to give you a heads up, because now I have to go look at our hot dogs to make sure they're not part of this, or corn dogs. Now, we have got just so many people for Lord Chippy today. I honestly cannot tell you how many we have. I think 5. So it is going to be a longer naming and shaming thing, because apparently maybe it's Satan or aliens or demonic souls from Halo. I mean, at this point, I am willing to discuss the Halo theory of demonic possession at this point. Now, that being said, justice is a journey, but Lord Chippy awaits. So let's get into this.
They steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So your fists and light your flames. Trippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, a New York man has been charged with 2 counts of red rum after a bizarre on-air confession to, well, taking his parents' life, then burying them in the backyard. Oh my God, his hair is distinctly Gallagher, but he is not funny. A deranged Albany man who made a chilling on-air confession to taking the lives of his elderly parents and burying them in his backyard is now facing charges. Well, who'da thunk? You confess on, camera. Lorenz Krause, 53, pled not guilty to 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of concealment of a human corpse for the taking of the lives of his parents, Franz and Theresa Krause, who disappeared without a trace 8 years ago during a court appearance on Friday. Now, Krause, who was a motor mouth during a jaw-dropping exclusive interview with CBS 6 on Thursday, was tight-lipped during the hearing. You buried them in the back of your house in Albany, CBS 6's Greg Floyd said during an interview. Yes, he chillingly answered. The Twisted Son describes the deaths of his ailing parents as mercy unalivings. His mother was injured crossing a road and his father could no longer drive after cataract surgery. You smothered them. You suffocated your parents? Floyd asked in a series of stammering back and forths, where Krause tried to backpedal on the confession and invoke his Fifth Amendment rights, which you don't have with the press, you dingus. You dumbass. Good Lord in heaven. Yeah, basically, Krause said, nodding. My father, after he died, my mother put her head on his chest. After a few hours, I finished her, he said. Yeah, you don't have Fifth Amendment rights with a reporter, you dingus malingus. It took him several days, allegedly, to bury his parents' body in the backyard of their suburban home. Now, Stone Grissom, the TV station's news director, told the Times-Union that the chilling interview came about when Krause emailed a 2-page rambling, conspiracy-laden statement to news outlets that contained his phone number. Grissom called Krause, who told him that he had buried his parents in the backyard. When I asked if he had taken their lives, he said, I plead the Fifth. Which is, again, not where you pleaded. Also, you have to be capable of remaining silent, sir, and you don't seem to if you continually wanted to get on air to do your confession. Now, the man agreed to arrive in the hour for, Grissom to get an interview with his reporter. He agreed and arrived within the hour. A plainclothes police officer was also in the front lobby where the interview was conducted. Grissom said he added that Floyd had just 10 minutes to prepare for the interview. I was thinking that I was on a mission to find out the truth of what happened, Floyd told the Associated Press. I did not prepare for this because it was thrust upon us with virtually no notice, and I think that worked out in an advantageous way because I didn't go in with a set of predetermined questions. I just followed the script he laid out and followed what he was saying and reacted to that. Now, once the taping ended, Krause left the CBS 6 building and was immediately taken into custody. In a second exclusive interview with Krause behind bars Friday, Floyd asked the alleged killer if he felt any relief after his confession. Not any extra relief, none at all, Krause said, while wearing his orange shirt. I'm glad that people know about my statement. That's important to me. My father was laid back and readied, he knew. There's a legal defense and there's a political defense. The most important law in this country is the New York ratification law, Krause said, possibly citing the ratification of the Constitution by the state of New York in 1788. Was it legal in 1788 to take, grandma outside Old Yeller style? Because I don't think even in the 1700s we were doing this crap. He then continued to spew his desire to create a board of trustees for New York State and have more options to solve the growing population of baby boomers. Well, I don't think we need a final solution for the baby boomer question. What the hell is going on here? This dude, make asylums great again. Please, can we do that? You can do your duty to your parents as they give you feedback, information, etc. It's not a decision of God. It's a matter of what life you are trying to give your parents by taking it. Yeah, this makes total sense, dude. How many Quaaludes have you been on from the 70s onward, sir? Now, the discovery of bodies in the yard was a culmination of financial crimes investigation where police discovered that Krause had been continuing to collect his parents' Social Security, benefits in the 8 years since he red rummed them. The public never knew anything till Tuesday when an array of police vehicles showed up on that street and started searching the house and digging in the backyard. Now, public defender Rebecca Skoll, who represented Krause at the Friday morning hearing, said she'd be looking into the process of the station's interview with her client. If the media was essentially an agent of police in this matter, it should raise questions about whether Krause's statements in the interview would be legally admissible in trial. Now, he is a graduate of Albany High School and Siena University, where he was named valedictorian as a political science major. Now, he has been ordered held without bond. What in the name of all the Cheetos? Okay, again, if Lord Chippy would get indigestion, let's send these two to Snake Island, a house of horrors where a mother turned a blind eye as a girl was essayed by her foster dad over 3,600 times and got pregnant at 12. A foster father has pled guilty to essaying a child for over a decade and impregnating her while she lived in his house of horrors as his wife allegedly sat idly by. Now, Roger and Darlene Barut were arrested last year in Connecticut after their former foster daughter spoke out about the horrific abuse that she had endured from 2005 to 2012, according to court documents. Now, the victim was identified as Crystal and is now an adult, came into the Barot's care when she was 10 years old after her foster mother, Nikki, moved and left her with a couple. Now, Roger allegedly already SA'd Crystal in the Thurrott home, but she was still sent to live with them, according to a complaint filed by her lawyer. Now, the Barotts weren't even Crystal's legal foster parents, and the Department of Child and Family Services didn't learn that she was living with them until a year later when they were notified he was being investigated for SAing another girl. Despite allegations against Roger and DCF's own admissions that they were concerned with the plaintiff being SA'd by Roger, they still struck a deal with Nikki, and the Barotts were allowed to continue to watch over, Crystal and remain in Bristol. It's absolutely monstrous. Now, the Daily Mail did reach out to the Barotts to get their side of the story. I don't really care. Despite Crystal being in Amy's care, Roger was still frequently alone with her and continued to SA her, according to a civil complaint. Crystal was then approved to live with the Barotts in 2008 when it was revealed that she was pregnant with Roger's baby. Now, according to the civil complaint, the years-long abuse occurred in a home where multiple people were allegedly aware of the trauma, including Darlene and her mother, Dawn. The complaint accused Darlene of knowing about the abuse for 11 years and failing to report her husband's horrific abuse, even when Crystal became pregnant. She, Darlene, willingly concealed, hid, and covered up and conspired to hide Roger's depraved SA of plaintiff. Crystal opened up about her harrowing experience with CT Insider, revealing that she claimed was the shocking moment she told Darlene about the abuse as an 11-year-old. She looked me in the face, blank stared, and just turned and walked away, Crystal said. I didn't know what to think. You tell someone that their husband's, touching you inappropriately. You think they're going to confront that, look into it, anything. Crystal claimed that the abuse happened every single day and that Roger took every opportunity to get his hands on her. Whether it was in the pool or downstairs where he was living at the time, a motorhome because they had it, wherever. Now, Crystal gave birth to her daughter at 13 years old and continued to live with the family for another 8 years. I cried the first 2 times I was assaulted. After that, I just lay there thinking to myself, no one's going to help protect me. And screw you, DCF, and the police, and every single adult that turned their back. Because, you know, if Mo had learned about this, Mo would have a 7th child right now. Because I would have taken this young child into my home, no questions asked. If she told me that this was happening and she had a little baby bump, and we could prove DNA-wise that this gross, disgusting human piece of corroded garbage, you know, was responsible for impregnating her, you don't want to see Mo, because Mo gets quiet and very, very particular when she is mad. And I don't think you want to hear this very soft, very quiet voice explaining to you, kind of Liam Nielsen style, exactly what's going to happen if you ever lay a hand on this precious baby again. I don't think you want to do that. I mean, I may not look it because I generally do with a lot of things through humor, but hurting a child, especially this way, is in no way what Miss Mo goes for. And if this has happened in my town, no, hell no. Now, in addition to cases against her foster parents, Crystal and her lawyer have filed a civil suit against DCF for alleged errors that allowed her to remain under Roger's thumb for nearly 8 years. A report concluded by the Office of Child Advocate detailed missed opportunities to remove Crystal from that home. The system we have today has evolved significantly over the past 20 years, making extensive inclusion of decades-old bar case ruling of limited utility for the purposes of this report. For that reason, and due to ongoing criminal proceedings, DCF is not providing further comment. Maybe because it's going to look hella bad when you didn't do anything. Now, the report reads that Roger's refusal to take paternity test and later receipt of text messages alluding to Roger's paternity, the DCF didn't have contact with the police to alert them of the allegations of abuse. Do what now? I'm confused. I thought that's your only MFing job, you useless piece of crap. Now, OCA also found that Roger's arrest for SA in 2005 had been against a different victim and wasn't properly logged, which allowed a DCF investigation to be waived when Crystal was first placed in their care. It's also alleged that in 2015, a probate court received a text message from Roger to Crystal that read, "Please, please, 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 I love you, baby girl. You know it to learn. You know it. You are damn near 60 years old, typing like a millennial. What is wrong with you? Like a Gen A? You spelled you and no spelled N-O. Thank you, public education. It to learn, never do, can look at our beautiful girl we have together." Do what now? Another message read, "Look at the beautiful girl I gave you." DCF had reported the message to probate court while conducting an assessment on guardianship for Crystal's child, but didn't report it to the police. You fucking ridiculous pieces of crap. Sorry, this is just pissing me off so much. The report also noted that Roger and his wife claimed up to 9 children and were receiving $400K in federal support, and Crystal even paid over $23,000 in child support. Crystal's attorney, Nate Baber, called it the worst case of SA that he's ever seen in an interview with local ABC affiliate WTNH. How does a 12-year-old girl become pregnant and no one does anything about it? How is it that DCF was involved in a myriad ways with this family for more than a decade and she was never removed from the home? Now, DCF noted they had a limited role in probate cases, which is where Roger was granted guardianship of Crystal and her daughter. So, after a childhood riddled with abuse, Crystal contested the Barat's guardianship of her daughter and was granted custody. I shouldn't have a child at that age, but I did. So I kind of, I don't know, woke up and did what I had to do, and that was it, like feeling like there was no other way behind it. Crystal said that her daughter, now 12, is the only reason she's alive. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. She's what keeps me going. If I go, she has no one. Because we have no one, I can't leave her on this earth alone. Now, the Barats are due in court on October 17th, then again on the 30th, for jury selection in the civil lawsuit. Just grossness. Well, a Texas death row inmate, Robertson, has abandoned his clemency plea and has called for a new trial ahead of his execution. A Texas death row inmate scheduled for, the ultimate punishment less than 20 days from now has decided to apply for a new trial rather than just a clemency plea. Now, Robert, 58, was convicted of taking the life of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki, in 2003. Prosecutors said that the child died from shaken baby syndrome, which means that she was shaken so violently that she died. However, modern scientific evidence has shown that the shaken baby syndrome thing was kind of a fallacy. It's not reliable anymore. They will laugh you out of courtrooms if you try to bring it up. But Robertson has maintained his innocence since he was convicted, arguing that modern scientific evidence has disproven the shaken baby diagnosis and shown that his daughter actually passed away from a chronic illness. Now, shaken baby syndrome has been criticized as junk science in the recent years, and Robertson's lawyers are hoping to prove that their client received inadequate legal representation during his original trial, and the court didn't consider Nikki's medical issues that could have led to her death. Mr. Robertson is actually innocent, said Robertson's lawyer, Gretchen Sween. If he is executed despite the overwhelming evidence of his innocence, Texas will commit an extreme miscarriage of justice. Now, in the original trial, he was criticized for showing little emotion when he brought his daughter into the emergency room. His lawyers later said he was later diagnosed with autism and that was the reason for his visible lack of emotion. Now, Jackie Bissonnette, executive director of the Autism Society in Texas, says she wants Robertson's diagnosis to be taken into account in a new trial in a letter she sent to lawmakers alongside the Autism Society of America. Dr. Natalie Monfort, an autism specialist based in Houston, said that Robertson's case is the most extreme example of a persistent problem in which misperceptions about autistic people contribute to their wrongful convictions and excessive punishments. And this is going to be one to watch because having gone through the Tim's trial with Megan, I do think that there is in all likelihood a chance that his daughter had underlying health issues. Now, the convicted father's date was scheduled for October 16th. His deadline to submit an application for clemency was on Thursday, September 25th, but he decided to instead focus on his application for a new trial. Now, under Texas law, a successful clemency plea could mean a reduction of his sentence from execution to life in prison, but would not remove his conviction. A new trial specifically is especially attractive considering that Robertson has already applied for clemency and was denied last year. His lawyers are convinced that there is enough new evidence to prove his innocence. Now, in Texas, a majority of the Texas Board of Pardons and Parole has to recommend clemency before a governor may grant it. Now, Robertson's application for clemency last year did not receive a majority recommendation and was denied a day before he was set to be executed. A remarkable bipartisan effort among Texas lawmakers to delay Robertson's execution date ensued, and the Texas Supreme Court granted the extension. This then kicked off a political battle between members of the Texas House of Representatives who were pushing for a new trial and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, whose office represents the state, in opposing Robertson's appeal. At the time, Paxton also said those lawmakers created a constitutional crisis on behalf of a man who laid hands on his daughter to death. Now, again, I can understand that, but if there is any question, if the science has changed, then this needs to be looked at. I do not want to co-sign through, my participation in the justice that, all these people need to maybe just have a little review. It doesn't mean that you have to automatically, give him clemency. It just says we need to look at this. The science has changed. A lot of things have changed. We need to go ahead and get this right. It's like we just cannot have nice things. Who knows? I'm going to see if Megan has her stream popped up yet. Yes, she does. So I am going to be sending you guys to her. We still have about 15 minutes though, which is actually really good because we did kind of take a long time with the hearing. Now, I do foresee that if this case ever goes to trial, this is going to be one of the most effed up cases we have ever heard about. The Ellen Greensburg crime scene photos inside apartment 603 after a bride-to-be was stabbed 20 times in a bizarre case. Now, over a decade after Pennsylvania teacher Ellen Greensburg was found stabbed to death in her apartment, many are still captivated and disturbed over what led to her shocking death. Greensburg parents, Sandy and Josh, have fought for their daughter's case to be reopened, citing the likelihood that she stabbed herself in the back. Yes, this case was classified as a self-deletion because most self-deletions, end with stab wounds in the back. The mysterious case has loomed in Pennsylvania for decades and will now be further explored in a Hulu documentary series set to premiere on Monday. The nightmarish sequence of events began on a typical snowy afternoon for the Greenberg family. The newly engaged daughter was released early from work due to the weather and was making a fruit salad in her apartment before her death. She was with her fiancé, television producer Samuel Goldberg, that evening before he left to go visit the building's gym at around 4:45. When he returned back to their unit 45 minutes later, the door was locked and he began shouting for her. Yeah, none of this case leads me to a self-deletion, especially the knife wounds in the back. Goldberg then sent his fiancé a series of texts that read, "Hello, open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting pissed. Hello, you better have an excuse. What the F? Ah, you have no idea." After Greenberg didn't respond, he went downstairs to ask the building's security guard for help and returned to the apartment to break down the door. Now, eventually, Goldberg pushed his way into the apartment and called 911 upon the discovery of the gruesome scene. "Help, I need an ambulance immediately," he told the dispatcher. "I just came home. My fiancé's on the floor, covered in blood." The operator then instructed him to start performing CPR. 2 minutes later, he said she had a knife sticking out of her chest. She stabbed herself or she fell on the knife. Yeah, something about this. Do we have anything that says that fiancé was actually in the gym? Because this seems like one was trying to give oneself an alibi. Now, when emergency services arrived, Greenberg was found with multiple stab wounds and a knife embedded in her chest. She was covered in blood with a white towel clenched in her hands, according to Detective Scott Eelman. Now, Greenberg's Uggs boots were also covered in blood, and there were stains on the kitchen floor next to her. Eelman's report noted that he didn't believe the bloodstain patterns were consistent with the position she was found in. He cited the minimal amount of bloodstains on the floor in comparison to the blood flow patterns on her face and clothes. Now, the assistant medical examiner, Marlon Osborne, performed an autopsy on Greenberg's body, which detailed multiple stab wounds found on her chest, abdomen, scalp, and neck. She was also observed to have multiple bruises, and her death was declared a homicide. However, the police treated the crime scene as a suicide, and the apartment was never secured. The criminal investigative analyst Tom Bremen previously told the Daily Mail that the case demonstrated a total lack of basic police work. He said the day after Greensburg's death, Goldberg's uncle and cousin returned to the apartment to retrieve their electronics. Not something you want him to do. The apartment was then professionally cleaned and potential evidence of the homicide was erased. Osborne then changed his initial ruling of homicide to suicide, defending the decision in a deposition. She's the only one found in the apartment with nothing disturbed, nothing out of place, and no other way of getting in. It doesn't lend to the fact that someone else was there to do it, so that was discounted. Really? You're going to unalive yourself and you decide to use a knife to both your chest, neck, scalp, and the back of your back? Makes perfect sense. Sure. However, her parents never believed that ruling and spent years hiring professionals to investigate their daughter's death. Forensic pathologist Cyril H. Wetch, who passed away last year, stated in his investigative report, suicidal stab wounds can rarely be multiple. Suicides by stabbing are becoming less frequent, with simpler choices such as drugs, hanging, or force multipliers being the more common use. Now, the report concluded that Wetch's professional opinion was the manner of death of Ellen Greensburg is strongly suspicious of a homicide. Oh, not Nancy Grace. Not Nancy Grace. Although it is nice to see Ursula so far away from the ocean and not dried out, she still looks dewy. In 2019, her family launched a petition to reopen the case and change Greensburg's death to homicide or undetermined. Ellen's death was determined to be a homicide, but the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, at the insistence of the Philadelphia police, suspiciously reversed itself weeks later, declaring her death self-deletion. Greensburg's mother told the Daily Mail in 2020, "This is not something we thought in a million years we'd ever be doing or would ever happen. We thought there was a very bright future. We were planning future generations. We never expected her life to end like this. It took years to piece this together. At the beginning, I was sitting up at night looking at reports with a centimeter ruler, trying to figure out how this really translated to how deep or shallow the cuts to my child's body were. We realized we needed to get experts to help us do this, so that's what they did." Now, the Greensburg parents, and this is where all of the wounds were found on her body. Tell me how one does this to themselves. And most of the time, you're only going to find the decedent. You're not going to find the perpetrator in the house. I'm not a policeologist, but I even know this. Now, the Greensburg parent filed a lawsuit against city officials alleging an ongoing conspiracy to cover up their daughter's murder. Yeah, you don't do that to yourself, especially not that deep into the spine. It's very hard to get that kind of power from behind you. The case was settled in February, and Osborne signed a document that stated he no longer believed in the Pennsylvania teacher's death by self-deletion. I am now aware that information exists which draws into question, for example, whether Ellen's fiancé was witnessed entering the apartment before placing a 911 call. This would all, yeah, no ish, Sherlock. I mean, I'm not a Hardy boy, but I think this could have been there. For the love of Cheetos. Or whether the door was first opened as reported, whether Ellen's body was moved by someone else inside the apartment with her or near the time of death. The findings of Lindsay Emery, MD, from her neuropathological evaluation of Ellen's cervical spine segment. Osborne stated for his reasoning for amending the cause of death. Now, Osborne's conclusion isn't binding and won't amend this death certificate because he no longer works at the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office. Now, the upcoming docuseries is set to delve further into the case and features interviews with over 20 individuals, including her friends, family members, former students, and colleagues. Now, both the Health Department of Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Police Department declined to comment when media inquiries, were asked. I hate this for her parents. Her fiance seems like the only suspect. I cannot believe it. Now, I will have to watch this series and get more of it because I can't quite remember what is going, or if the fiance had more links. And I think he was highly linked to local politics, or his family was. But I can't remember if I'm remembering that right or I'm barely remembering that right. And finally, a good one for Lord Chippy. Absolutely the bravest little girl ever. A child saves her mother by secretly slipping a note to a school bus driver that read, "Call 911," and a suspect is in custody for kidnapping. A child in Iowa may have saved her mother's life by passing a note to a school bus driver that read, "Call 911." The student passed the note to the driver just before 7:30 p.m. or a.m. local time on Wednesday, September 24th, according to the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. Now, the driver alerted authorities, and the police then went to a home in Westgate, a rural area of the county, to investigate. Upon arriving at the home, police found that the child's mother was allegedly being held against her will by 29-year-old Glenroy Miller of the Bahamas. Now, Miller is accused of assaulting the woman several times through the night, kicking her with enough force to break 2 of her ribs and puncture her lung. So she could have very well drowned in her own blood. Authorities say that the mother was unable to call for help in front of the suspect, so she wrote on a piece of paper and gave it to her child. The child is currently in 1st grade, according to a legal complaint that was obtained by local news. Now, Miller was arrested that morning. According to public arrest records, he was charged with armed kidnapping, willful infliction of injury, DV, and assault, with the intent to inflict serious injuries, also the obstruction of emergency communications. Now, he is currently being held on a $1,500 bond. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, okay. And we're going to read this because this looks like a happy story. Well, I mean, that the baby is alive, that she was found in time. Nancy Grace is a talking head, a former prosecutor. She was on Dancing with the Stars. Again, Ursula out of the water. She's just a very pro-state attorney who always thinks everyone is super-de-duper guilty, unless she's decided you're not super-de-duper guilty. She just never looks at the case independently of the prosecutor's always right. A newborn girl was found inside a cardboard box on the side of the road, sparking a police investigation to try to locate her parents. On Wednesday, September 24th, around 6:50 a.m., a resident discovered the baby along Tuguegarao City in the Philippines, the Philippine National Police said in a statement. Now, the infant was believed to be a newborn and taken to the General Hospital, where doctors confirmed she was in good health, which is really, just a blessing. The outlet reported it was a passing grandmother who had discovered the babies. Now, authority believed that the baby was less than a day old, as she was found with a clipped umbilical cord. A heartbreaking video showed the newborn wiggling around inside of the box on the side of the road. May Asuncion, a social worker from the City Social Welfare and Development Office, said according to the examination, the baby's in stable condition, but she will remain in the hospital for up to 5 days to ensure she's in the best of health. This rescue is a testament to the care and duty. Well, okay, so we're not going to get into a political thing, but they're trying to say that the president expects, the highest bar with his police officers. Also the same president who's, I think, currently fighting charges on corruption. So I am not going to praise their dear leader. I am going to praise the grandma who who made sure this baby was okay. When she saw something strange, she took care of it. She didn't say, not my kid, not my problem. She did full grandma action where grandma adopts everyone. My house is going to be so full. All of my kids' friends that don't have families and everything and be like, come to mine. We'll love you. We have you. We got you. That being said, Mr. Mo has no idea that I adopt people all the time. So there you go. I will say that, it is a miracle. I have seen so many stories and covered and named and shamed in Lord Chippy statements, moms who do this kind of thing and the baby isn't found. So I am just pleased as punch that this baby was found. And I hope that the mother is found. Now, in our final story of today, this just sucks out loud. Florida parents bought a Toyota RAV4 for their 16-year-old daughter, but the sheriff has seized it and they're still left paying it off. For most American families, a first car is a big milestone. And that's what it was supposed to be for Craig and Hannah Blanchard when they surprised their 16-year-old daughter in February with a 2017 Toyota RAV4. They had paid $17,000 in full, tapping into a home equity loan to make the moment possible. Photos and videos from that day show their daughter beaming behind the wheel, ready to take this show on the road. But 7 months later, their joy turned into a nightmare. Deputies from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office arrived at the Blanchards' home with a tow truck in tow. The SUV, they explained, had been marked stolen. They rang the doorbell. Craig told News Channel 8 in Tampa, he says, "You know why we're here?" And I say, "No, I don't know." Then he goes, "That's all you have over there." And that is, it's been stolen. Now the family stood helpless as the RAV4 was hooked up and hauled away. Now, instead of celebrating their daughter's first car, they're starting monthly payments on a loan and even an insurance bill for a vehicle they can't drive. It's a payment on nothing. Who wants to do that every month when I could be putting that money toward other things? Now the Blanchards bought the RAV4 from Vasilios Bill Leonidas, a local man who owns B&B Spider Customs, an auto shop in town. Now, public records show that Leonidas had recently obtained the car through a mechanic's lien, which is a legal process that allows garages to claim ownership when a customer doesn't pay repair bills. Now, the Blanchards paid Leonidas directly with a cashier's check, but the title was transferred under his business name. At the time, all appeared legitimate. However, months later, the state records flagged the title as canceled and placed a stop on the vehicle with Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, and that's when deputies seized it as evidence in an ongoing investigation. The RAV4 is now sitting in a tow yard, with Leonidas telling local reporters he hadn't known of any issues and promised to make it right. But for now, the Blanchards are stuck. Don't use private sales. Now, buying a used car from an independent seller or a small auto shop often looks like a bargain. Licensed dealers are subject to customer protection laws, and the FTC has been active in taking actions against these businesses. But unlike licensed dealership, private sellers are not subject to the same laws that could leave buyers vulnerable to issues like outstanding liens. A bank or mechanic may have a legal claim on the car even if the seller hands over the keys. Invalid or canceled titles. Documents can look official but may not hold up to state records. And stolen vehicles. If the car was stolen before it reached the seller, law enforcement can seize it months or even years later. When the police step in, the buyer usually loses the car, as was the case for the Blanchard, and has little chance of recovering the money spent. So if you're going to buy from a private seller, double check the title with your DMV, run a vehicle history report, ID match to ownership, and then watch for mechanic liens and use secure payment methods. Cash or a cashier's check could leave you without recourse. Escrow services or a verified bank transfer could provide more protection. Now, if you realize that you've bought a stolen car, report it immediately to establish your innocence. Alert your lender and insurer and explain the situation to prevent further loss. Seek legal advice and look into restitution programs. So, I feel terrible for this young girl, but be very careful and protect yourself, especially when you're spending $17,000. That's just my idea. Look, I'd probably adopt. Look, this is why Mr. Mo doesn't take me to pet places. He doesn't take me to cute baby places because I would adopt all of them into the family of Mo. I am a terror to be married to. That being said, that's all the stories for this morning. I am going to send you over to Megan, and we will be hanging out with her. And then when Megan ends for the day, now the the North Carolina Marina Shooters press conference will be at 11. So I will probably just set that up for a live stream after she's done. That way, we can do it. So it will not be, actual current time live breaking, but we will get to it in the same day, which is about all we can pray for with Mo. So have a wonderful day, you guys. I will see you over on Megan's, where we can say all the cursey words and have hair talk catharsis, because this has been a long weekend, y'all. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness doesn't mean doormat. Do no harm, take no bull. Have a great day, you guys.